Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Monday, March 4th, 2024. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Alf Salves today thanked all the state agencies, those in the private sector and others for working together to ensure that SVG successfully hosted the 8th Summit of the Community of Latin America and the Caribbean States, CELAC, at the New Sandals Resort.
Everyone, really, it is just absolutely remarkable national effort, and of course we were assisted over the last 13 months by other countries from the region. For instance, we had from time to time persons here from Argentina, from Brazil, from Cuba, from Venezuela, from the Bahamas. When we were preparing for our summit with the European Union, someone from the European Union came here and spent some time in the same way that we mobilized and sent Jamisha Prince to strengthen the Brussels office to prepare for that particular summit, and so on and so forth. So this is really has been a collegiate presidency, pro tempore presidency, and it's a new model, so to speak, rather than doing it by yourself. And then of course the people in the public sector and private sector of all descriptions have done very, very well. And I want to thank the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for being supportive of what we have been doing.
The Prime Minister also hit back at a statement made by opposition MP Sinclair Leacock, who deemed the CELAC summit as farcical.
Directly down there at Sandals, at the CELAC summit, were representatives of 4 billion people. 650 million in CELAC. The European Union is 650 million. That's 1.3 billion. India is 1.4 billion. China is 1.4 billion. That's 4 billion. Of the world, 8 billion. Now that's half directly represented. And then, of course, the head of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, who represents 8 billion people, is the first time a UN Secretary General in 8 summits came to CELAC. First time. He has been to G77, he has been to the African Union, has been. First time he has come to CELAC in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, reflective of both the importance of CELAC and of course his own personal relationship with the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he came here, the Secretary General, stayed for the whole meeting. Then on Saturday, we had a breakfast up at Goss, at my personal residence in the bush. And then we went up to Sandy Bay because he wanted to see what has happened to the region, the area, in terms of the rebuilding after La Soufrière, and he's so hugely impressed. And the people in Orange Hill came out to tell him thanks. Took him to Sandy Bay so he'd see for himself the problems in relation to coastal erosion and climate change, the impact of climate change. I mean, what can get into? Are these people serious who want to say they want to replace the Unity Labour Party government? That's the kind of approach they're taking.
PM Gonsalves said in the Kingstown Declaration of the summit, the matters outlined directly relate to the lifting of lives and living of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Speaking on the New Sandals Resort, the employment opportunities made available to Vincentians and other opportunities for fishers, farmers, and others in the tourism industry, Prime Minister Gonsalves said the people bought into the vision of the ULP government put forward in their manifesto, which is to build a modern, competitive, many-sided post-colonial economy that is at once local, national, regional, and global.
Sometimes I talk. Some people like stick breaking the days, they're not here. Modern means modern science, technology, and when you put that with competitive, you got up your game. Modern, competitive, many-sided, that is to say diversified. You think I want to see like when tourism is taking place here, not like in some Caribbean countries, agriculture gone to the dog. The days of the colonial type economy in agriculture, the amended colonial one, where we produce one principal crop, whether it's sugar, arrowroot, cotton, bananas, those days are no longer with us. The real world has gone past that. Why? Why I say post-colonial? It can't be colonial or amended colonial. The colonial economy, how was that, or amended one, how was that built? A single crop? A single dominant crop? With subsidies at home or market preferences abroad? The market preferences are no longer there, except in particular niches. And then that colonial or amended colonial economy depended upon an unlimited supply of unskilled labor priced at a very low level. In this post-colonial economy, you need skills. An unlimited supply of skilled labor priced at a higher level in the chain of the International Division of Labor. That's why we had to do the education revolution, because one can't be done without the other. You see the vision? You see it coming apart? It's coming to fruition. That's how it's happening. And all of these things are together. And by the way, everything which we are doing to transform the economy in which we are doing it has been opposed by the NDP opposition and the internet crazies,
And Prime Minister Gonsalves urges farmers and fisherfolk to unite and seize the opportunities for collaboration and collectively benefit from supplying Sandals Resort with seafood and other produce. Urging farmers and fisherfolk to unite and aggregate their resources in order to meet the growing demand from sandals, the Prime Minister stressed the importance of a predictable supply chain in the hospitality industry, noting that such collaboration could lead to substantial benefits for agricultural and fisheries sectors.
And I'm saying to fishermen, I'm saying to farmers, and other business people, you all can aggregate if you come together and you do things, and provided your prices are good, competitive, you have good quality, and with consistency of supply. They tell me, I didn't speak to Sandals on this, but they spoke to somebody in the government and they told me this. They have a place down there called Catch. They have 8 restaurants. One of the restaurants called Catch, not just for fish. Catch mean this is there for fresh things from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. From the farm to the table. From the sea to the table. That was one of the, I think they opened 3 or 4 restaurants for the summit. But they wanted to open that one too. They couldn't open it. The reason being, persons who said that they were going to deliver to them did not deliver to them. No. You're in a hotel. You're in a serious hotel. You need to have predictability of supply.
Dr. Gonsalves expressed optimism about the collaborative potential of local farmers and fisherfolk, foreseeing a future where the united efforts would contribute significantly to the growth of the agricultural industry and the nation collectively. Prime Minister Gonsalves left the States today for Cuba and is expected to return on Saturday, March 9th, 2024. Leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, on Radio Today, said the people should be the center of any developments taking place in the country, which he says is being ignored by the government.
Colin, quite naturally, you can see where our focus is. My approach is bottom up, that is to people first. Mm-hmm. Development is about people, whether it's in the program that we announced last Saturday, for the development of people in sports, the development of people in agriculture, in fisheries, the blue economy. All of these are pillars of our economic development, but they don't happen by themselves. And we can't be spectators in our own development. We have to be doing it ourselves. Government has a responsibility to involve the people in the development process, not just say, I'm doing it for you. Mm-hmm. You can't do it for me and I am on the sideline. What you're going to do, just give people a handout, who you pick and choose. People have to be involved in the process. I said that on this program last week. You cannot leave the people aside and say, oh, they ain't ready yet. You got to bring somebody from somewhere else to do it. How they get ready if you don't get them ready, if you don't help them to get ready, if you don't tell them what they need to do to get ready? The government has a responsibility to do that. That is the basis of our development, to bring our people into the fold. But here what we see.
Dr. Friday said the concerns being expressed by the people of SVG about the spin-offs of the Sandals resorts is justifiable and should not be brushed aside.
You know, this is what is so concerning and is so disappointing to so many people. People look forward to the development of the resort at Buckerman. They talked about it from years ago when you had, what's his name there? Ames. Mm-hmm. Said that he was a hotelier and so on. Turned out to be a big scam. The whole thing flopped and the government very quietly just let it sit there for a while. So now Sandals has come and they have redeveloped the facility and the location, and they have built what appears to be a top-notch resort. That is their standard throughout the region. Of course, there are complaints, naturally and justifiably, about the spin-offs, because we want to make sure that we, when I say we, I mean the people of the country, benefit as much as possible from these developments, whether it is this particular hotel development or one elsewhere in the country to come, or the ones that are existing now. We are always engaged in that process of finding opportunities for our people. And so when you hear from the outset that this major development has come, there is employment. I hear the Prime Minister talk about this, somebody said at a press conference this morning, about 500 and something jobs and so forth. But that's a start. But what about the service providers? What about the linkages, backward linkages to the economy, to the agriculture and to the fishing industry? And why is it that you have in this major entity, a company comes in, they build the resort? We say that is something that we didn't have the capacity to do because we don't have the capital. No local developer has that capital. And also they have the marketing that Sandals is doing. But, you know, things like supplying to them. I hear the agriculture that Reno is going to be buying and then selling to Sandals. Is that the plan? And that Rainforest is going to be buying seafood and selling to Sandals. That is the plan. So there is a middleman in between, and all of them come from somewhere else. Not to say that the Caribbean people, yes, we want to have as many involved as possible, but we also have to be giving opportunities to our people. We've had people here who were selling and exporting seafood before Rainforest came. Where are they now? They all seem to have either died or become second fiddle.
The opposition leader also questioned the role left for locals to take advantage of the market to supply Sandals.
Why are they just being sort of left to say, listen, do what you can, fend for yourself, rather than saying, let us start with this and see how we can use them to be able to get the products that the developer needs? Because yes, they want to get the best product at the best price. That is the negotiation process. But we have to be able to get our people ready to engage in that negotiation. Well, not just say, you know, sell to this other third party. Who is going to be, what price are they going to get? And the middleman always has to get a cut. Why is it not the marketing board? Why is not the fisheries cooperatives and so forth that we have here? Those are relevant questions to ask. And we haven't heard any discussions about it from the government. They don't even acknowledge it. They just say, oh, the fisherman and them getting the price. They don't care who they sell to. Well, the problem is that they've not been getting the price. I know from the experience we have seen in the Grenadines, when one of the exporters is knocked out of the running, the purchasing, then the price becomes very problematic, very low. and up and down. So that is where the dilemma comes in, and people are quite right, especially the fisher folk and the co-ops, to ask the question as to why were we not prepared in advance to deal with this, and why is it that we have to go through as farmers? Why do the farmers have to go through Renault, a company that came here to mine rocks up at North Leeward? You know, why is it that this major development, you have that all of the major players, the three main players, that is the supplier of seafood, the supplier of agricultural produce, and the developer themselves, none of them come from here? That is a very big question that you must ask. Are our people so incompetent or so lacking in initiative that we can't find a way to say, okay, let's give them the opportunity first?
The day after the closure of the 8th summit of CELAC, UN Secretary Antonio Guterres toured communities in the North Windward constituency, which were affected by the explosive eruption of La Soufrière volcano in 2021. The Secretary General was accompanied on the tour by Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves and the UN President Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. They reached as far as Sandy Bay. Some of the stops made on their way up were at the Georgetown City Fence and the Rabaca Bridge. The final stop on their way back down was a small ceremony which was held at Orange Hill. The Secretary General expressed his admiration for the people who he compared to others who have been displaced in other countries.
See, listening to the Prime Minister, how terrible the impact was, the level of destruction and the huge quantity of cinders spreading everywhere and covering everything. The houses destroyed, people displaced, forests in trouble, agriculture lost. And I have to say that I gained an enormous admiration for the courage, the resilience and the solidarity of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You had lots of people displaced. And I was High Commissioner for Refugees. When there is a big displacement in a community or in a country, you create camps. No? Put some tents, and you put the people in tents, and you provide them with assistance. There were no camps in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Why? Because people would find shelter in the houses of their fellow citizens.
The Secretary General noted that from all indications, the people in North Windward have recovered well.
And then I have to say that coming a few years afterwards, I'm amazed at the level of reconstruction that I could witness. Nobody would believe that there was that devastation here. And when I see these houses, I mean, what a wonderful thing. When I saw the bridges that are being built, what a wonderful thing. Where was the volcano? I mean, they say it's below the clouds, but I would never imagine that there was a volcano here, seeing how the country has recovered. And I want to strongly congratulate the government and the people for your exceptional recovery.
Prime Minister Dr. Alf Gonsalves reminded residents in the North Windward of the important role the UN Secretary General played during and after the volcano eruption.
We are not an ungrateful people. Gratitude is part of our DNA. You know, within 24 hours of the volcano erupting cataclysmically on the 9th of April 2021, I got a telephone call from New York within 24 hours. He said, "It's Antonio. How are you doing, Ralph? How is the software? Tell me. How's the volcano?" I told him things are very difficult. He said, "Well, I want to tell you that I've given instructions to all the United Nations agencies, and they are at your disposal." And within hours, I was contacted by Didier, and we went through the details. And from his central budget, They immediately put $1 million US to help with some immediate things. And then we put together an appeal for up to $29 million US for people to contribute, different countries and organizations, to help us in the period of the humanitarian challenges and to lay the basis for the development and the reconstruction.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, is inviting residents, business owners, and other interested stakeholders in the vicinity of the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport to a community consultation tomorrow, Tuesday, 5th March 2024, at the Girls High School, Honnorsville, at 5:30 p.m. NEMO says the purpose of the community consultation is to discuss the National Tsunami Program for St. Vincent and the Grenadines and participation in the 2024 Carib Wave Tsunami Exercise, which will take place on March 21st, 2024. Residents, business owners, and other interested stakeholders in the vicinity of the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport are asked to make a special effort to attend tomorrow's community consultation. The 3 Grenadians who pleaded guilty of illegally entering St. Vincent and the Grenadines and who are accused of hijacking a yacht and murdering 2 U.S. citizens will be deported back to Grenada. This was the order of Senior Magistrate Colin John today when the trio, Trevron Robertson, 25, Atipa Stinnes, 23, and Ron Mitchell, 30, appeared before him at the Magistrates' Court in Kingstown. It has not yet been determined when the men will be sent back to Grenada, but in the meantime, the senior magistrate said they will remain in lockup in SVG. The prosecutor, acting Corporal of Police Carleen Samuel, stated that on Wednesday, 21st February 2024, at about 4:35 p.m. during an operation by members of the Narcotics and Rapid Response Units in northwestern area of Petit-Bodel, captured the men. Ron Mitchell, however, was shot by the police after it was stated that when they attempted to handcuff him, he wrestled with them, hence they had to use force, and in the process he got injured. The chief magistrate asked that the men, if they agreed with the statement that was read out. Mitchell, who has 9 convictions back in Grenada, told the court that there was no wrestle with the police as they are claiming, but the police just shot at him. Meanwhile, the court heard that Atiba Stanilis has 10 convictions in Grenada, which include housebreaking and stealing. Tevon Robertson, however, has no criminal record. The 3 male prisoners are escapees of the Grenada's prison. In addition to the trio, 2 other Grenadians were also captured in the operation in Petit-Bodel. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police acting Anvil Williams has ordered a probe into an incident in Cedars over the weekend. In a news release, the police say due to the recent occurrence of several reports of burglary and theft of livestock and produce in the South Central Policing Division, the High Command, in conjunction with the Divisional Commander, implemented various strategies to curb the situation. It said on Saturday, March 2nd, at approximately 3:10 a.m., the party of police officers from the South Central Division were on mobile patrol in an unmarked vehicle. Some of them wore black polo t-shirts with the word police printed on the front. While patrolling, the party received information about a burglary in the village of Cedars. The officers proceeded to Cedars and saw a motor vehicle parked suspiciously on the side of the public road, several meters away from where the burglary was reported to have taken place. According to the police news release, the officers alighted their vehicle, shouted, "Police, don't move," and attempted to approach the parked vehicle. The vehicle reversed and then drove forward at a fast rate of speed towards the officers. Some of the officers had to take evasive action to avoid being struck by the vehicle. The vehicle sped away and then came to a halt. The police approached the vehicle again. One of them opened the right front door and identified the party as police officers. The officers observed two occupants of the vehicle, a female who was in the passenger seat and a male in the driver's seat. The driver told the police that he was injured. The police immediately transported the injured occupants to a medical facility for treatment. The news release said the police communicated with the family of the driver, and a commissioner of police acting, Anvil Williams, ordered a probe into the circumstances surrounding the incident. Anyone with information that can assist with the investigation is asked to contact the police. In other news now, St. Vincent and the Grenadines will celebrate National Heroes Day in 10 days' time on March 14th. On SVG-TV's Viewpoint program on Sunday, community activist Idisha Jackson said the National Heroes Act of 2002 needs to be redefined so as to not make it a superhero-like entity. Additionally, historian and author Dr. Adrian Fraser said it would be logical to establish a list of honorary citizens who may not necessarily qualify as a national hero to honor them for their contribution to nation building. They were at the time discussing the significance of a National Heroes Day, the importance of our Garifuna heritage, and what qualifies one to be called a national hero.
So there are many persons who we hear being bandied about who would have changed in somewhat the dimensions of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whether it's in politics, whether it's in sports, whether it's in culture. And I think that maybe we need to redefine the act so that we could incorporate it and not make it such a superhero kind of being. But I think there are many of us around in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who have passed on, because as you said, it has to be somebody who's deceased, who fit the bill, who have changed St. Vincent significantly. But I also think that we need to widen it so we could embody some of our cultural icons, our sporting icons, as well as national heroes, or have them in different categories, if you must say.
And a number of other people made outstanding contributions on just about every field. And I think that we should stop the national hero at this moment. Let us honor a lot of those other persons. The difference between what I'm suggesting and the national hero is those persons could be honored while they are alive.
Right.
You know, don't wait until they die and try to see if you could make them a national hero. They're making a contribution now, so make them the order of Chateaubriand or
I was now about to say.
So you could have a number of them and it would have meaning to people.
Lawyer and the chairman of the SVG National Reparations Commission, Adrian Udo, said the qualities of a national hero are above and beyond the norm and proposed that it be humanized a bit more.
And I came up with some general criteria that I believe the legislators can examine. The first one will be to examine the patriotism and sacrifice that that person would have contributed to the country. Of course, we have to define what patriotism and sacrifice is within the context of the act. And we examine leadership, courage, impact on national identity, and their role in the struggle for freedom and independence. Apart from this, cultural and educational contributions, innovation and developments in the respective fields, moral integrity and ethics is very important, as well as national unity and peace, and their legislative and governance contributions. So those would be my recommendations for those who are listening, those who sit in the chairs of change to hear my voice. The criteria that I would have mentioned are basic common characteristics, so they're not necessarily confined to the law, and these are characteristics you can find in the everyday person. In my opinion, if we examine our society, we can find these persons in abundance in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
A visiting Garifuna delegation from Honduras hosted a special wreath-laying ceremony on Saturday at the obelisk here at Doseche Hill. Addressing the ceremony, Minister of Tourism, Sustainable Development and Culture, Carlos James, welcomed the Honduras delegation and the pro tempore president of CELAC to SVG. He said at the G77 Ministers of Culture in Cuba last year, Latin America and the Caribbean, as part of the delegation, called for the inclusion of culture as part of a sustainable development agenda, which he said symbolizes the importance of where they see cultural heritage, the preservation of the indigenous peoples and their practices, norms and traditions, and bringing it at the forefront of our living and sustainability as a people.
We see culture as a symbolic and important part of how we as a people unite across the region. South-South cooperation, working closer with our friends and brothers and sisters in Honduras, in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, in the US, and wherever we have descendants of our Garifuna people. It is of importance that here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we promote our indigenous people, their cultural practices, and our cultural heritage as part of the very front of our developmental agenda. So my brothers and sisters, we do welcome you to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Yorome, and we welcome you home to your ancestral grounds. This journey here is an important one for your people, and it is so an important one for us here to welcome you to Yorome, St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Minister James further told those in attendance of the ceremony that the history and legacy of our people is a story that must be told throughout the Americas, and the rest of the world must also know about the great legacy of SVG's national hero, Paramount Chief Joseph Chatelier.
And we are indeed honored to know that in Honduras, Chatelier is also a national hero, a man who traversed these very grounds here in Dorsetshire Hill, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in Yorome, as they called it. We as a country and as a people, collectively, Honduras, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and all of the countries which boast rich legacy of our Garifuna heritage, we have an important obligation to work closer together, to share in our experiences, to see a greater level of movement of our peoples, and to have the transfer of knowledge and education and heritage and history, so that it is a shared experience for all of us to enrich our culture, to enrich our people. And it is important that we do so, and we do so collectively and urgently. It is my hope that your visit here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines will continue to send a strong message of that deep sense of cooperation, that deep sense of working together collectively as a people in our cultural preservation, and our call to ensure that the cultural heritage and the legacies of our people are at the forefront of the sustainable development agenda.
The 9th National Schools Garifuna Folk Festival will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, March 5th, commencing at 9 a.m. with a march from the Bishop's College ground to the Victoria Park, where a cultural rally will be held. The festival, which is a collaborative effort between the Garifuna Heritage Foundation, the Ministry of Education, and the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture, will be hosted under the theme Children of Chatelier, Fruits of Our Heritage. It will feature dancing, singing, drama, drumming, and choral speech, and exhibitions from secondary schools. A news release says the cultural items will be presented by primary and secondary school students throughout St. Vincent, and the Grenadines will receive trophies for the best performances in various categories.